The much-awaited moment has arrived. I hope all of you are geared up to immerse yourself in the thought-provoking lecture that you are about to hear. It gives me immense pleasure to invite Professor Tariq Ramadan to take to the lectern and deliver his lecture on the topic, Is Liberty an Islamic Value? Professor Tariq Ramadan is Europe's leading Muslim intellectual and widely regarded as the Muslim Martin Luther. He is the son of Sayyid Ramadan and the grandson of Hassan al-Banna, who founded the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. The British Prospect and the American Foreign Policy magazines placed him as one of the world's top 100 contemporary intellectuals, and Time magazine as one of the 100 most important innovators of the 21st century. He established the Movement des Musulmans Suisses, a movement of Swiss Muslims, which engages in various interfaith seminars and advises the EU on religious issues. As of 2009, he was persona non grata in Tunisia, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Libya, and Syria because of his criticism of these undemocratic regimes that deny the most basic human rights. He is currently teaching in the Faculty of Theology at Oxford University. Professor Tariq Ramadan, please.
Islamic University here. I came before a few years ago to give lectures there. I came for you as well. And it's always a pleasure for me to come back to Malaysia and to share with you views on contemporary issues. And coming from Europe, where in fact I'm teaching, yes, at the Faculty of Theology, but mainly at the Oriental Faculty and Contemporary Islamic Studies. This is what I'm trying to do today, is really to focus on issues that are not only Western issues, they are issues for Muslims living in the contemporary world. And we have many issues that we are sharing. You here, living in Malaysia, in this country, in Asia, us in the West. Yes, of course, we have specificities, but we have common challenges. And one of these challenges is this one. Is how do we deal with the concept of freedom, how do we deal with the concept of liberty, how do we deal with our societies and the very deep understanding of such concepts. So it's not easy, and as you like structured talk, I like to have an attentive audience. So it's something which is personal. Fatwa that I have in my talks is personal to me, no clapping, just silence. You have no right to clap. No, and even Allahu Akbar with your emotion, that's not for me. Allahu Akbar is with your heart, it's not with your emotion. It's not a slogan, it's a call from inside that we understand that it's beyond everything. He is beyond everything. So I'm always trying to say to the Muslims, I don't want this type of things because it disturbs your attention and it bothers me. So silence, deep, and then we come to the very essence of the discussion. As much as you want good lectures, I want attentive and aware audience as well. So let me start from the very beginning with something which, as you said in your introduction, I wrote recently, in fact, over the last 3 years, 2 books. And in one of these books, I'm tackling the issue of reassessing the higher objectives when it comes to Madrasat al-Maqasid, which is the school of the objectives. Because we all understand now, coming from the reformist trend, and this is also something which is important, I'm not representing, as you know, all the Islamic trends. I'm representing a trend which is saying quite clearly, there is no faithfulness to the principles without evolution in our minds. So this is the very understanding of the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, saying that God is going to send to this community someone or a group of people helping it to renew its religion. Meaning by this that Islam is not going to be reformed. We are not reforming Islam, we are reforming the Muslim minds, our understandings of things. The texts are the texts, they're not going to change. The Quran is the Quran and the Hadith are the Hadith. What should change is our understanding. Why? Because through history and through cultures and environments, we have to change our understanding. Because if we don't change our understanding while time is changing, environments are changing, it means that our static, intellectual understanding of Islam or approach to Islam will lead us towards betraying the principles. So to be faithful to universal principles, we need to be in motion in contextual, historical dimensions. So this is the starting point. I'm part of this movement. I know that there are literalists, Salafi literalists, in the Salafiyya al-Harfiyya, they don't agree with this. They say, we stick to the principles, we apply them, whatever is the situation. That's fine, we disagree on this, and there are trends in Islam, and there is something which is called from the very beginning an accepted diversity. And for all of the people who are here thinking that they are open-minded because they are reformers, the first condition to be open-minded is to accept that people are not following your trend. If you follow what I mean. If you understand what I mean here, it's quite important is that sometimes you have people that are not less Muslim or not so intelligent or as intelligent as you because you think that you have the mind. You also have to be respectful towards these people because one of their examples is Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. He was very strict, following in the footsteps of the Prophet ﷺ, literally. And no one here is at his level. I'm just trying to reach a good level. So humility is the starting point of dealing with diversity. But the point is that in this book, Radical Reform, I'm trying to come with, yes, we have a long history of scholars coming with 5 principles, the first principles that we have in Maqasid, these kind of 5 principles, and Qarafi added a 6th one speaking about dignity, al-'ird, and all this all is known by the specialists or the people who have a basic knowledge of Islam. My position today is to say that this was fine, but this is not enough when we are dealing with a complexified world. We need much more specific objectives. And the first intuition didn't come now. It came in the 14th century already with Ibn Taymiyyah, when he was critical towards these things by saying there is something missing in this. And what is missing is the intimate objectives, meaning the spiritual dimension. Not only we have to respect the being, not only we have to respect the intellect, not only you have to respect religion, intellect, family, all that's fine, but these are external dimensions. We also need to have objectives for the peace of heart, the inner being. And this is something which it's quite strange, and sometimes we have to say this to some of our brothers quoting in the Taymiyyah in a way which is understanding here half of him, half of what he was trying to do is really to say the spiritual dimension is quite important. So he had the intuition that to the 5 we might add more. And in the 3rd chapter of the book, Radical Reform, Islamic Ethics and Liberation has to do with liberty, is a process of liberating ourselves from a tradition that sometimes is right as to the principles and wrong in the way we are trying to be faithful to it. Sometimes we betray the very essence of a tradition by the way we are trying to be faithful to it, by repeating, imitating, taqleed, and muqallidun, meaning by this that we repeat without taking into account the environment, which is very complex now. So now we know that when it comes to inner dimensions, we need to be very specific, because with what we know now about psychology, spirituality, we have to be much more focused and specialized in that field. Because many of the problems that we have here in this room, when it comes to spirituality, have also to do with psychology, with lack of confidence, with tensions. So you cannot say, oh, you know what, you want to solve your tensions? Pray. That's fine. I know that I have to pray. But sometimes the tensions that I have are deeper in my psychology, in my past, the relationship that I can have with my parents, not only to tell me pray. So don't simplify my problems by simplistic solutions. And at the end, it's not Islam. To be blamed is you, because you give the wrong answer to a deep problem. So the point here is in the field of inner peace. When it comes to the individuals, when it comes to the society, and when it comes to societies and the relationship between nations and countries, we need ends and objectives and high objectives for every specific field. So we have to add to this. So I came with a proposal, and one of these proposals is really to come with something which a positive objective, which is to protect freedom as one of the main objectives of Islam. And from the spiritual to the collective. Why? Because if you come back to the very meaning of believing in Allah, this relationship, tawheed, when you say La ilaha illallah, there is no deity, there is no God but Allah, God the One. What are you saying? What is the very essence of this word and this testimony? Is that there is no authority, but His authority in me. So if you come with injustice and you try to impose it onto me, in His name, I'm going to free myself. It's a call for freedom. I'm freeing myself from my ego, because the first ego is I. Ana khayrun minhu, said the shaitan, Iblis. Ana. So you free yourself from Ana and say, Allah. Allah la ilaha illa huwa. So the tawheed is a call for liberation. Liberate yourself from your ego. Liberate yourself from alienation. Liberate yourself from illusions and come to the true freedom of your heart. So this is the starting point at the inner level, within your own heart. But when it comes to nations, which is at the other end of the spectrum, this is something which is quite clear. By definition, if you come to the very understanding of Islam, colonization by definition is wrong. You have no authority to take over authority on me and power me, because the very essence of nation is to be free. Why? Because this is the will of God. This is what He's saying. He decided that we need tribes, nations, and because there are tribes and nations, implicitly the logic of it is they are autonomous. No colonization. So no inner colonization with illusions. No collective colonization under the power of people. So when we have discussion now in the West saying, oh, colonization was sometimes good, our answer, it was always wrong. Always wrong. So we come here with a very deep understanding of this objective as something that we have to put at the beginning. And I tried to come with this and to talk to some of the scholars, and we had very interesting discussions with this, because if you come with the 5 main principles that we have in Maqasid al-Daruriyya at the highest level, the high objectives, very often they came as positive from something which was negative. why the deen was the first, and we have a professor here, Kamali, who came with this understanding, and he tried to translate this, and it was quite interesting by saying we put the positive objectives because we understood that the opposite was perceived as a prohibition in Islam. You cannot change your religion, so protect religion is the highest level. You cannot drink alcohol not to disturb your intellect, so to protect the intellect is an objective. So from prohibition to objectives, this was the process. But we need to come with something which is not going from the negative to the positive, but to come with a reading of the text and to extract from the texts, all the text, the overall understanding of the positive objectives, not related only on the negative on prohibition, but on something which is what do we want to achieve, what Allah, what God is asking us to achieve. So this is a point which is important. The next book, which is going to be released next month, is also coming with this discussion, which is The Quest for Meaning. It's a universal journey. In fact, it's a journey around all the religions and philosophies to try to show how much we have in common. And one of the topics is freedom and liberty. We have to talk about this because tell me what you think about freedom, I will know your concept of human being. And tell me what is your concept of human being, I will know which kind of freedom you are going to give me. So this is something which is so critical in our discussion now, from the philosophical dimension to the socio-economic, socio-political dimension. But be careful. Don't go straight away to the political one, because you can miss the very essence of our discussion. And if us today, in the world of today, you here, in every one of you, because I'm not talking to intellectuals and scholars, I'm talking to every single human being here, men and women, in the name of your being and your dignity, is to think about what could be your contribution in the discussion today. It's not only to come and to say, we want more political freedom. Of course we want more. But we want to talk about the very essence of freedom. Which freedom are we talking about? Is it only the freedom to talk and to express and to move? Or is there something which is deeper than that? Freedom of being. In this world culture, freedom of being is so important. Don't come speaking about women, for example, in Islam by saying, you know, the true freedom of women in Islam, for women in Islam is to wear the headscarf. But not saying that the very essence of everything which is connected with the headscarf is the discussion about the true meaning of freedom. What is your freedom? To please or to go beyond your ego? If we don't spiritualize all this discussion about, you know, women and the headscarf, and we only come with rules, we do exactly the opposite of what should be done. You can get freedom through the headscarf, and you can be perceived as in jail through the rules. What do you want to do? Which kind of discourse are you promoting? Is this obsession with rules is just driving us far from the very essence of freedom. And we'll come to this relationship between freedom and rules, which is not only specifically Islamic, it's everywhere in the contemporary philosophical discussion and religious discussion.